And we continue our 7 and 4 News Today summer wine tour this morning. All summer long, we've been checking in on some of Northern Michigan's best wineries. And this morning, once again, joined by 7 and 4 News' very own Melissa Smith, who is at Bel Lago Winery in Leelanau County. And there she is. Melissa Smith, a good morning to you.
Well, good morning, Brody. That's right. We're in Leelanau County right now at the beautiful Bel Lago Winery. And I want to introduce the owner, also the head winemaker here at Bel Lago, Charlie Edson. Charlie, thanks for welcoming us in so early this morning.
Oh, good morning. Welcome.
I want to start off by saying I did mention that this is a beautiful winery, and that goes along with the name. Bel Lago in Italian means beautiful lake, and we're just not really that far from Lake Leelanau.
No, we're right up the hill from Lake Leelanau. Yeah, the name Bel Lago came from my father-in-law, who was Italian. So Italian was his native language. And he was sitting up on the hill one night, and as we were trying to figure out what to call the winery, and he looked across the lake and he said, "Oh, it's so beautiful." He said, "That's it, Bel Lago, beautiful lake."
Perfect. And it makes complete sense. And going along with the history of Bel Lago, 27 years ago was the first vineyards were planted.
Yes, 27 years ago, as a retired MSU professor and a horticulturalist interested in varieties, I decided to plant a 1-acre test block so that we could learn more about what varieties might do well here in Leelanau County. And so, you know, there were the original 5, if you will, wineries that established themselves decades ago. And then Bel Lago was part of the new wave. And at that time, we really didn't have, I think, as much history and as much knowledge about what varieties might do well here. So that's how we got started. Then we expanded the vineyards in the early 90s around the area that comprises the winery here, and planted mostly Pinot Grigio, which does really well, and Riesling does well. And then a few years later, we planted more acres. Now we have about 32 acres. And if you count all of the test vines, about 100 different varieties of grapes that we're looking at.
And Charlie, you and I were talking earlier, about 15 to 18 wines are typically what you would make in a year?
Yes, we make a variety of wines, and we really focus on blends, and part of that is because we have all these varieties to use. So for a good example of that is this Leelanau Primavera that actually has about 20 different varieties in the blend. These are all aromatic varieties, and so with this wine we're trying to create a nice aromatic wine. And I might point out it has my daughter's artwork on the label. So.
Yes, that's the one thing that I wanted to point out with this bottle. There's a huge family connection here, obviously. It's a family-run business. From the artwork on the bottle to the fact that your father-in-law was the one who came up with the name, Bel Lago.
Yes, it's a family-run business. Bel Lago is owned by myself and my wife, Amy Iazzoni, and my mother-in-law, Ruth Iazzoni, and my father-in-law, Dominic Iazzoni, helped establish the winery as well. And, of course, my daughter helps around the winery and creates some of the artwork for us, so keeps us all involved.
And tell me about July, record sales here at Bel Lago, which is great.
Yeah, you know, it's been a terrific season. We are an agri-tourist business, like so many other farms up here, and we rely on tourism. But we're lucky in the wine business because we can distribute our wines as well. And so people talk about the down season for us, the off season. There really is no off season for us. We're crazy busy during the summer because of the tourists that come, but we have a lot to do during the rest of the season. But it's as with some of the other businesses, it's been a great year for the wineries.
Great. Well, I want to get a little bit more specific in just a few minutes, Charlie. We're going to talk about the specific types of wines that you have here, maybe even some of the awards, international and national awards that you've won. So stay with us. For now, we are live talking with Charlie Edson. He's the owner and also the head winemaker here at Bel Lago Winery in Leelanau County. We are live, though, in Leelanau County. Melissa Smith, 7 and 4 News.
In the soothing sound of the 7 and 4 News Today Summer Wine Tour, we've been checking in at some of our favorite wineries all summer long. And this morning we find our very own Melissa Smith in Leelanau County, Bel Lago Winery. Melissa Smith checking out some of the fine products they have there. Melissa, you told us in the first half hour Bel Lago means beautiful lake.
Yes. That's right, Brody. It means beautiful lake in Italian. And now that the sun is actually coming up, we can see the gorgeous Lake Leelanau right across from the vineyard. So we are literally on Lake Leelanau. And of course, we are at Bel Lago Winery with Charlie Edson, the owner, also the head winemaker here. Charlie, right now I want to talk about blends. This is something that you do a lot of here at Bel Lago. First, explain to me, what does it mean when you blend wine?
Well, you know, in the first segment I mentioned that we grow about 100 different varieties. And so we use these various varieties in blended wines. And one of the first blends that we ever did was this blend of Pinot Grigio and Chardonnay. And we use 75% Pinot Grigio and 25% Chardonnay. And there's a real flavor synergy that comes from blending these particular varieties. And it makes the wine really food friendly. And so it's worked out really well for us. This is actually one of our top selling wines, the PGC as we like to call it. And then we've taken that to another white wine here, Leelanau Primavera. This is actually a blend of about 20 different varieties. And so for this particular blend, we're looking for aromatics. So we grow a half a dozen muscats on our farm, for example, that we blend into this particular wine. And then there's several other aromatic varieties. There's some Riesling in this wine. There's some Cayuga White, which is a really nice variety that many people aren't really familiar with, but it works really well in this wine.
And someone like myself, who I consider an amateur when it comes to wine, how do you know which wines will taste good with other wines?
Melissa, it's like any other job. It's experience. So I've been making wine for over 25 years. And during that time, of course, through the course of my work, I've tasted lots and lots of wines. And so for each variety, you try to learn the flavor profile of the particular variety and then experiment with it in a blend. And you know, you've heard about the science and art of making wine. Well, you have to understand the science in order to make good wine. But then the reason that wines are different winemaker to winemaker is it's really that winemaker's vision that crafts that wine. And so for us with the blends, it's about putting together these various varieties in a way that makes a really nice wine. So let's look at another one down here. This is our Bel Lago Red. Although we focus on white wines here, we also do a lot with red wines. And we make two blended reds, the Bel Lago Red and our Tempesta, which is the premium version of this wine that we only make in years where the fruit is really ripe. So I go through the vineyard and I actually taste the grapes of all of these various varieties, and I taste them and I say, oh yeah, this one has a flavor profile that I think will work for Bel Lago Red, and this other one has a flavor profile that I think will work for Tempesta, for example, because I'm looking for different things in those wines, different foods that they might pair well with. And so then we flag them, and then they go into the wine and into the barrels. And the Tempesta, after 2 years, comes out, and this one comes out sooner. So that's how these blends are crafted.
It truly is an art and a science. I love that. Makes complete sense. Charlie Edson, head winemaker, also owner of Bel Lago Winery. I want to thank you so much, Charlie, for welcoming us this morning. This has been fascinating. Thank you so much.
It's been fun. Thank you, Melissa.
And, of course, we're going to send it back to you guys in the studio. We are live out in Leelanau County. Melissa Smith, 7 and 4 News.